Hey, Shane.
Good evening.
Hi, George. Oh, he's disconnecting. Hi, Al.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, how's it going?
Hi,
Hello,
Jen.
everyone. Hi.
Pete.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Tony.
Good evening. Tonight's Mayfield Village Council Caucus meeting. It's Monday, February 1st, 2021 at 7 p.m. This caucus meeting has been duly noticed and will be held in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22, specific to recent amendments made in light of the current COVID-19 declared emergency, House Bill 197, amended by House Bill 404, under the orders of Governor DeWine and the Director of Health of Ohio, and pursuant to Ordinance 2020-08, adapted March 16, 2020, Council will be meeting remotely via electronic means. No one will be in council chambers or be able to access that space during the meeting. The public is invited to view the meeting live and can access the meeting through a link posted on the Mayfield Village website at www.mayfieldvillage.com. Mayfield Village will conduct these proceedings in compliance with all applicable state laws and regulations. We'll move along to pending legislation. First up is ordinance number 2020-33 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1519 Fireworks. Are there any questions? Next is ordinance number 2020-34 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1383 Automatic Fire Suppression Equipment. Are there any questions? Next is ordinance number 2020-35 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1329 Ohio Building Code. Are there any questions? Next is ordinance number 2020-36 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 141 Fire Department. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2020-37 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 749 Recovery Costs for Emergency Actions. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2020-38 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 971 pertaining to alarms. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2020-39 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1501 Ohio Fire Code. Are there any questions? And we have ordinance number 2020-40 entitled an ordinance amending Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1522 Building Marking Systems. Are there any questions? These 8 ordinances will be moved to third read at our council meeting later this month. Next, we have ordinance number 2021-01 entitled an ordinance repealing and replacing Mayfield Village Codified Ordinance Section 521.20 related to smoking in Mayfield Village. Are there any questions? Ordinance number 2021-02 entitled an ordinance appropriating funds for current expenses and expenditures of Mayfield Village, Ohio for the period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021 and declaring an emergency. Are there any questions? And next we have resolution number 2021-05 entitled a resolution requesting the Caucus County Fiscal Officer to adjust the amended official certificate of estimated resources for 2021. Are there any questions? So these 3 will move to second read at our January council meeting. I'm sorry, February council meeting. Next up, we have the mayor's report.
Thank you, Council President. I just have a couple of things I wanted to touch on tonight. The first is we know that 2021 is already speeding by. We're already into February. We have a special election coming up on March 16th. So I would like to encourage everyone to get well versed on the issues that will be on the ballot and also to vote. The Voice of the Village should be in mailboxes any day. The mail's a little slow, but look for a comprehensive article in the Voice of the Village on the special election. Also on March 16th, we'll have in-person voting here at the Civics. Well, I'm not here, but it'll be at the Civic Center. But if you want to vote absentee, anyone could go on the Board of Elections website and fill out the absentee ballot application, which has to be mailed in. Or you can call the village at 440-461-2210, and we will get you an application that also has to be mailed in into the Board of Elections. So if you want to vote absentee, now's the time to get rolling on that because the mail is slow. Second thing I want to touch on is Governor DeWine released his biennial budget outline today for fiscal years 2022 and 23. So just to give you a few highlights on the proposal, it would provide significant economic relief through one-time dollars. Funding would remain stable for local government as well as for K through 12 educational institutions. The budget proposal includes no new taxes and would utilize none of the state's over $2 billion rainy day fund. The proposal includes $460 million to support Ohio small businesses, $450 million to strengthen Ohio's communities, $50 million to attract individuals to Ohio with an advertising campaign, $70 million to grow Ohio's skilled workforce through increasing technology credentialing, and $240 million as a continued investment in clean water in Ohio's H2 Ohio program. Budget hearings will begin next week, and we'll keep an eye on those to see what comes out to be in the final budget, to see how that might help Mayfield Village or how we're going to fare with that budget. I'd like to note also that our own Ohio Senator Matt Dolan was reappointed as chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, and he does an amazing job. So we are very happy about that and very grateful to have Matt in that position. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Brodner. Next, we want to acknowledge a couple of birthdays. First is Chief Carcipolo. His birthday is today. So happy birthday, Chief. And then also Diane Wogamuth. Her birthday is in February, on February 21st. So happy birthday to Diane. Our next meeting of council will be on Monday, February 15th at 7 o'clock. This meeting will be conducted virtually. And then also just want to echo the mayor's comments on voting. We have our special election on March 16th. So please request your absentee ballot or vote in person at the Civic Center. Next up is a clerk of council.
Yes, Council President, I just want to give you a committee status update on the Civil Service Commission. The commission announced the administration of an entrance examination for the Service Department. Applications are being accepted until Thursday, February 18th. The exam is scheduled for Tuesday, February 23rd. It'll be at the community room. There'll be two different time frames, one at 4 and one at 7. Thus far, there are 10 applications which have been submitted. There is a 40 application cap. Check the website for more information, or if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Spencer. Next is the building department. Mr. Coyne is going to speak on behalf of the building department.
Just that well, we haven't met on the conditional use permit renewals, or conditional use permit discussion, but tonight the planning commission did approve the renewals.
Are there any questions for Mr. Coyne? Questions? We'll keep on moving along. Next is Finance Department, Mr. Nguyen.
Yeah, first item is for the past several years, NOPEC has been giving all the communities that participate in their programs energized community grants. Our grant for 2021 is $10,087. As we're required to do every year, we will pass a resolution that, acknowledging and accepting the grant, and then we will invest that money during the year in some type of energy efficient project that we will select. For the our dental plan, we got a renewal from Delta Dental with no increase for the plan year beginning April 1st. So we're putting forth legislation to accept that renewal. And then the same thing with MetLife. We got our renewal for life insurance reflecting no increase for the plan year beginning April 1st. And final item is the 2021 budget. I provided council with a draft copy of the budget last week. Began meeting with department heads this week to go over details to see if there's anything that they request to have changed or added. If you have any questions on the budget, please feel free to give me a call after you have an opportunity to go through it. I tried to annotate it as much as possible on the line items as to what the thinking was on some of the larger items. So, but if you do have any questions, give me a call as we go through the process. It's the end of the report.
Are there any questions for Mr. Nguyen? Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Moving along to Parks and Recreation, Mr. McAvenue.
Good evening, everyone. We have 4 items tonight on the agenda. One is the 2021 4th of July fireworks display. It shows for $15,000. The show will be $20,000, but we received a $5,000 credit from 2020. So the actual show is $20,000, but $5,000 is currently the American Firework for this year. We also have Rookie Sports this year. It's a pass-through fund for $16,500. Basically, they run programs. We collect the fees, keep about 25% of it, and then give back the other 75% to them. Restroom facilities. I did try to search a few more companies, but no one really wanted to put in a proposal. So it came down to Eris and I drew a blank, but Eris was the lowest one at $14,000. And on the last one, the 2021 chemical prices, we went with Ohio Pools or OP Aquatics. They were actually about $400 to $500 more, but they were Ohio Cuyahoga County company. And the other company is out of West Virginia. So we decided it was to go with a local company. Any questions?
I have one question for you, and I'm sure it was explored at some point. But do we know how much it would cost to get permanent restrooms at the Grove?
Yeah, we looked into it a couple, I think 2 years ago, a year or two ago. We're going to apply for some grant funding. The problem runs into is the size of volume of the area. You have a formula that has to be applied to that. So I think we're looking at, we had 20 men's and 20 women's restroom to accommodate that square footage. Well, when you do that, we were over $750 to $1 million to build that facility. So that kind of took us a step back from that point.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Mr. McAvenue? Thank you, Mr. McAvenue.
Thank you.
Next up, Police Department, Chief Matthias.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I just have 2 items on the agenda tonight. The first one is our annual SPAN dues, where we pay our portion of the 5 cities that contribute to SPAN and that funds all of the special units. The 2021 SPAN due contribution for us is $23,000. And again, if anybody has any questions about that or any of the units, just let me know. The second item is the purchase of 2 new patrol vehicles. This year we're getting 2 more Dodge Chargers. And so the total there that you see, the $73,864, that covers the purchase of the 2 vehicles and the equipment changeover from the old vehicles. So again, these are, regular items. If you have any questions, just let me know.
If there's no questions for Chief Matthias, we'll keep on moving along. Thank you, Chief. Are there any other matters that come before council tonight?
I actually have just a couple things. Just 2 comments. One, Chief, I'm actually glad that you're on this tonight. I had approached Chief Matthias in regards to the new sidewalk that was created on Wilson Mills that led to Echo. And I was concerned if there should be a crosswalk from Village Trails across the streets, just with traffic coming up the hill. It seemed like it was going fast to pedestrians that were crossing, and there was sort of a blind spot. And the chief actually monitored the traffic and had the stealth traffic box there. I'm reading your notes, Chief, so correct me if I'm wrong. And he had the facts came back to say that 85% actually do not exceed the 43-mile-per-hour rate. So I wanted to share that, and that they will continue to monitor the area. The average speed is actually 39 miles per hour. So it does seem fast to pedestrians that are right over in that area. But less than 1% are going over 50 miles per hour, and less than 9% are going over 45. So it may seem exceedingly fast to the pedestrian, but the chief has assured us that he would continue to monitor the area, especially as spring approaches. So I just wanted to share that information in case any other council members have heard from any residents about that.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, can I butt in real quick?
Sure.
I have heard from a couple different people, like as Jen said, that yeah, 39 miles per hour may not seem fast, but when you're walking across a road and they're whipping around the corner, it's pretty fast. Have we considered putting like flashing lights or something like above there?
Well, one of the things we looked at, because we talked about this, I worked with Tom Capello, and we did kind of a study. I can provide that to you to take a look at, and it looked at the volume of traffic and the projected number of pedestrians crossing. And because of the low volume of pedestrians, it really didn't qualify for actually like have a crosswalk. And our concern was if we put a crosswalk in with the flashing lights, what happens at that point is, since it's a marked crosswalk, now pedestrians will have the right of way when crossing the road. But unfortunately, most drivers don't realize that. And our biggest concern was a pedestrian would step into the roadway figuring I have the right of way and the car has to stop, and the car doesn't stop, and we have a car versus pedestrian. And so that's why one of the reasons why we decided to not mark it or put any warnings on there, because we figured it would kind of be confusing to the pedestrians and the motorists. So when I was talking with Mrs. Jurasek, I used the downtown Willoughby crosswalk as an example. If anybody's ever been to downtown Willoughby, right by the post office, they have a pedestrian crossing. And when the lights are flashing, vehicles are supposed to yield the right of way to crossing traffic or crossing pedestrians. If anybody's been there when they're busy in downtown Willoughby, a lot of the traffic doesn't stop. They just keep going because they don't understand that they're supposed to stop. So we figure it would be better to not mark it, which would put the caution on the pedestrian crossing as opposed to the motorist. So.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about, a button to flash and stop traffic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think if there's not a lot of all it takes is for one person to get hit, and then, it'd be terrible, So I don't know if we can rely on, well, there's not a lot of pedestrians crossing, so maybe that's not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my thought. I don't know, but I understand what you're saying, but so.
Thanks, Chief, and I know Denny, the chief had said that. I've noticed just from walking that of the increased patrol right over at Village Trails as well. So I think that helps. And with it being winter time, the leaves aren't on the trees, so you could see there's a little bit more visibility to the pedestrians, but it sounds like something that will continue to be monitored. So maybe it will warrant some change in the future. But Chief, thank you to you and the department for monitoring it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then one other comment that I had to make is I was approached by a number of residents in regards to the option of fiber optic cables being offered by Mayfield Village as an alternative to some of the internet providers in the village right now. I know the village had looked into this a number of years ago, and I actually exchanged some emails with Diane, and it sounds like Diane and Jeff were already on top of it, gathering some information. But with more people working from home, and it seems to be the trend that it's changing, as well as more people seem to be foregoing the cable services and just going to streaming services as well. It sounds like a couple other council members have heard from residents as well with this. So this might be something that we want to continue to pursue and look at further and maybe revisit and see what the cost is. So I don't know, again, if any other council members have heard from a lot of residents regarding this, but this is something that we may want to explore again.
If I could just jump in, I don't know if you saw, but Ms. Wolgamuth did respond to some of the preliminary questions. Did you get that email?
I did. I did get
Okay.
that. Yeah, that's why I said she.
Okay.
she had responded.
So I think, yeah, we're definitely want to know where council stands on this. The preliminary number that she had just to run the conduit would be about $3.8 million. And that's just to cover the conduit. Doesn't cover the stuff you got to put inside, doesn't cover the junction boxes. So we're looking at $4 million for the conduit. And I think, we still have some questions. Are people wanting it because they want to save money, or are people wanting it because they need faster internet service? So I don't know what you've heard, Jen. Excuse me.
So, yeah, I've heard mostly faster service, reliable service is what I'm hearing. Again, it's coming from a lot of people who are now working from home, who plan to keep it that way, and from individuals who are trying to get rid of cable. They have said AT&T is notoriously unreliable right now with some of their service. They've gone to some other providers, but are again not happy with what they had. So it seems to have been echoed across the board that's the reason. And I think it's more people are starting, who are working from home now and will continue. And I know a lot of people are trying to change and save money by getting rid of cable and possibly streaming. So I think it's just something that's going to be more prevalent as we continue to go on. And there's it's to have that option. So I did see Diane's email and I did read through it, but I knew it was the beginning stages that her and Jeff were looking at. So I figured we probably want to explore it more if council has heard from other residents as well.
Well, I have, and it's all about, to your point, more people are staying home at work to do work. And the point of, let's explore it and determine what the return could be. Is there a cost for residents? And so I appreciate the effort to explore without making any decisions. And I think the residents will appreciate that too.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate Diana and Jeff going through and gathering the information that they've had so far. So as we continue.
So I'll get with Jeff and Mr. Thomas and Ms. Wolgemuth, and we'll see where you want to, what other exploration and what other details you want to fill in the picture. Good?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jurasek. Are there any other matters that come before council? Well, if there's nothing else, then we are adjourned. It is 7:24 p.m.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Night, everyone.